Hey everybody, welcome back. Miss Lakin here at the Putnam Museum and Science Center. Today's topic is all about the science of the arts. I am in our gallery space that's dedicated to the science of art, and I'm really excited to share some of it with you today. I'll walk you through your last activities in your activity kit, and we'll explore this space. So let's start off by talking about artists and the natural forces that they use, including their 5 senses, in the creative process. So scientists and artists have things in common, and they're a little bit different. So think about it. I want you to think about what's the difference between science and art, because they do both have a lot of similar things when you think about it. So scientists usually work with facts and data, and artists, they use imagination and they play on emotion for their work. But they both rely kind of on their personal experience. So when we think about how they're the same, they both use observations and they both do testing, and they think about our natural world, and they also think about how humans behave. So when you think about an artist, they often use experimenting. They experiment with different things, and they also investigate and try different things out. They test different things, just like a scientist does. And they use different resources and different tools and technologies in their process. They both do. So that's something really cool that they both have in common. So artists, they harness this learning and understanding of our natural forces to create new works and new ideas. So just like a scientist would. So today we're going to look at and understand kind of the science behind some of the things that artists use and that relate to science. So we're going to talk about color theory, light, optics and perception, movement and sound, and how they use those to create new works of art. So with that being said, let's get started. In color theory, colors are definitely categorized on the color wheel. So we have our color wheel, and if you look at it, it's a great tool to use to pick out the best combination of colors and to use it while you're mixing or matching or even contrasting the colors from each other. So color wheel, we have our 3 categories: primary colors. So we have our primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. We have our secondary colors, and that is a mix of the primary colors, so purple, orange, and green. So let's test it out. If we have blue and yellow, we know that makes green. So the cool thing about the color wheel in here, I'm gonna move our yellow over top our blue, and look, it made green. So we have our primary color yellow and our primary colors yellow and blue to make that secondary color green. And there's also, other than primary and secondary, there's also tertiary or intermediate colors. And that is a mix of the primary colors and the secondary colors. So we know blue is a primary color, green is a secondary color, and if we add those or mix those together, I'm going to put the green over top the blue. So we have green and blue. Now we have kind of a blue-green. So there's a lot of different colors that you can create just by using the color wheel as a really basic tool. Okay, so I am sitting at the light, shadow, and color table, and we know that light travels in straight lines and then it's reflected or scattered by objects in its path. And this creates shadow. So we can actually create that at this table. The color, the shape, and the type of material, it all affects on how that light and shadow is created. So we can create different colors actually at this light and color shadow table. We have different shapes and that are different colors. So if I hold this yellow square in the path of the light source here, this light, look at the shadow it creates. It creates the yellow, you can see the yellow color, and I put the red, this red triangle in front of it. it's kind of cool. We can actually create orange, and we can do our little color mixing here. Did you know that your eyes and your brain actually work together, vice versa? They work back and forth, and your eyes don't actually see objects. They see the light that's reflecting off of those objects, and we definitely need that light to see different things. So different types of light sources like our sun, lightning stars, and even flashlights or campfires, that kind of light source, those are all helpful for us to see in the dark. So we can't actually see those objects, but we need that light to see and reflect off of them. So eyes only capture illumination. So what happens with the different materials and how the light goes through them, that affects how we actually see things. So transparency is how well light goes through a material. So when light encounters something or a type of material, it can go through it in different ways. So if we have, let's say like a window or a sheet of glass, that is transparent. Light goes through it. But if you have something that, maybe an object that light does not go through, we call that opaque. So this is one of a horse in here, and if I put this in front of our light source, the light doesn't go through it, but it does cast a shadow. And then we can also have things that are translucent. So think about things that light goes through, but it doesn't just shine all the way through. So think about, an example would be sunglasses. That's a good example. And these shapes here we have are translucent. So the light does go through them a little bit. So we can create that different colors and play with shadow in that way. Okay, we are ready for our light wave rainbow activity. This one is really, really cool. So go ahead, out of your kit, grab these really cool rainbow glasses, and we're gonna do some observations, a little experiment with these. So the first thing I want you to do is, wherever you're at in the space that you're in, look around for light sources. So light is a form of energy. It travels in waves. So we have many different light sources. The sun is our main light source. Please don't look directly at the sun. We have some lights up here on the ceiling. We actually have a lamp set up, we can see, and even a flashlight would work. So anything that has a light source will work out for this one. So to start off, I'm gonna have you actually hold the glasses arm's length away and look through the lenses. So these have special lenses, and they bend the light, the white light, so you can actually see a lot of different colors, the colors of the rainbow. So go ahead and take a look. Right now I see so many different colors, and the shapes are really cool. They're repeating shapes. So try different light sources and see how they are different and how they compare. Wow. See if a brighter light makes a difference than maybe a dimmer light. Okay, once you have done that a little bit, now you can actually put them on. So see what it's like when you actually place. Wow, this is such a cool experience. So put these on like normal glasses and take a scan around all the different light sources. I see so many shapes happening, kind of like a kaleidoscope. So in here, I see one area where it's like a lot of rectangles and tiny little dots of color, all in a rainbow. Up here, I see more kind of like long sheets. Ooh, that's even cool. Experiment with putting your hand out and looking how your hand looks over top the light sources. The lamp in here, it's like a star. It's just like bursting with different, almost like round shapes coming out from it. So yeah, really cool experience. So when you are looking around, think about how they're the same, how things are different. Why do you think that's happening? Make some, record your observations. So if you want to draw a picture, or if you just want to write about it, talk about it with somebody else. This is a fun one to do with somebody else. So go ahead and have fun experimenting with light and how it looks through these cool glasses. Okay, this is the infinity mirror, and look how deep it looks like this tunnel goes. It's actually a trick. If we look at this is actually really shallow. So there's actually lights on the edge, just one row of lights, and there's a mirror back there, so it's reflecting the light ray. So it looks like there's a lot of depth into this, into our infinity mirror here. And artists actually use that trick as well. And it's really cool because they can create depth and distance when it's actually really not there. Artists also use a trick of the eye in color theory called Pointillism. It's a kind of painting where there's just a whole bunch of series of colored dots, and your brain actually uses the science of optics, and you're able to blur the colors together into a single image. Just kind of like the way that all these dots here on one of our interactives in the gallery, you can create an image with just the dots that you put together. Artists also use the trick of sight with light and dark to create motion. And one way that you can animate something is with what's called a zoetrope. And it's a really cool device that creates motion just by a sequence of images. Very similar to a flip book that came after it. The zoetrope was actually invented by a mathematician, William Horner, and it was invented in 1834. And the cool thing about the zoetrope is we can actually experiment and do one here. So it's a big cylinder, a big drum, and you place your image inside. So just like you have frames in a film, you have one after the other, or similar to your flip book, where that image is just changed a little bit. Once it all goes together, it creates that sense or that illusion of movement. And so we can have our images, we place them inside the zoetrope, and this is actually, we have one here, and this is some flowers. So it looks like we start with one, and it just keeps adding and adding a flower each time. And so for the image to look like it's moving, you place it inside, and there's slits on the side. So you have to look through the slits as it's turning for that motion to be created, that illusion of movement. This is our stop motion animation station interactive, and we're actually gonna test it out. Just like the zoetrope and our flip books, we created that sense of movement, that illusion of movement just through still pictures. So we're gonna use some 3D figures for this one. I have a background, I've kind of thought through my plot and my story. So I have a sheep and I have a hog, and they are gonna walk through our field here we have. So to do this, I'm gonna take a picture. So I am actually gonna start moving my figures into the space, and just like our flip book, I'm gonna move just a tad bit each time, so they're walking together, they're friends on the farm, into our frame. And oops, I think I had my hand in that one. And you can imagine how much thought and time goes into creating a stop motion animation. I want to make sure my hand's out, and I think we're gonna see how it turned out. So I'm going to play my video and see how all my frames work together to create that illusion of movement. Okay, we're gonna talk about sound. So sound travels as sound waves. Sound is created when something vibrates, and it sends waves of energy, vibration, into our ears. And the greater the vibration, the louder the sound. And so the waves definitely make an impact on how it sounds. The pitch is the quality of the sound, and it's the high and the low, kind of depending on the speed of the vibration. So we're gonna actually test out some and make some noise with our robotic instruments here in the gallery space. So we have a snare drum, a bass drum, tom-tom, cowbell, woodblock, and a crash cymbal. Let's see, I'm gonna do a bass drum here. And you hear how low that is. Let's do the cowbell. This will be, we'll add in definitely a higher pitched sound. So think about how the vibrations would be different. Let's see, we'll add in some more snare drum. We can create a rhythm. I can speed up the tempo. Whoa, we really got it going fast now. So the greater the wave, the more noise it's gonna make. So let's see how. Oh yeah, that sounds. So sound travels in waves, and you can imagine what it looks like with all the noise that we're making right now. Okay, we are ready for our activity, the sound wave pan flute. This is going to be a really fun one. Go ahead and grab your supplies. So this is the last activities we're going to do. The Science of Arts. Go ahead and pull out activity card for the sound wave pan flute. So for your supplies, you're also going to grab the 3 straws out of your bag, and there's also a piece of cardstock, so also go ahead and grab that. And along with these things, I am going to recommend, if you have tape at home, go ahead and grab tape. If you don't, we have glue in our bag. I'm going to pull that out along with my box of crayons and a paper ruler. And also, whoops, you'll need a pair of scissors. So go ahead and find some scissors. Okay, so go ahead and first up, go ahead and open up your straws. These are going to be the pipes to your flute. And the first thing we're going to do is actually cut them. So let's see, I'm going to put this just to the side. You're going to use your ruler, so take one of your straws and you're going to measure. Let's see, the first one we're going to measure 4.5 inches, and then we're going to cut at 4.5. If it helps you, it might be helpful to make a mark. I think I'm just going to cut mine. So let's see, 4.5 inches, and when you cut your straw, it might fly up, so I'm going to hold both sides of mine. Okay, so here is our first one. I'm going to just set that to the side. Go ahead and grab your second straw. And your second straw, you're going to cut 4 inches from one side. So go ahead, lay that down. I found my 4-inch mark. I'm going to cut that. And here's that. I'm just going to set that to the side. And then the last one, you're going to cut 2.5 inches. So go ahead and lay that down. Let's see, here's 1 inch, 2, and then here's a half. I'm going to cut that. And then we're going to take this piece, and we're going to cut 1.5 inches. So we'll put that to the side. We're going to cut off 1.5 inches. Here's 1, 1.5. Okay, we're getting, our straw pieces are getting smaller. And then we're going to cut a 1 inch. So go ahead and do that. And we're getting really close to the end. We're going to cut 3/4 inches off. So go ahead and make that tiny little one at the end. Okay, so I have all my pieces cut. And then go ahead, we're going to test them. So I'm going to pick these up. And to test how they work, let's see, which one should I do? I'm going to take my longest piece and maybe kind of a medium piece. And to test to see how it works, you're just going to blow through the top. And it'll make kind of a whistling noise. So you can kind of compare what they sound like. So the long one sounds a little bit different than the... Should I do the smallest one? That one's really, really high. Okay, so we're gonna put our flute together. So to do that, we're actually gonna use this piece of paper, and we're going to, let's see, Actually, you can decorate it. This will be fun. I'm gonna put, what should I put on mine? I think I'm gonna put some music notes. Give it a little flair, so you can give your flute a little personality. I'm gonna add just a little bit on here. Maybe I'll add a rest. And okay, so now I have a little design on my paper, and this is what we're gonna use to glue it down. So turn it over and run a line of glue across the top, and then we're gonna line up our pipes from, we'll start with the longest one. And you're just gonna lay them so that there's enough room for you to blow through the top. And let's see, I kind of got mine out of order. So you're gonna line them up, line your straws up, maybe before you start gluing them down, that'll be helpful. Okay, now I have all mine in a row. I'm gonna kind of push them close to each other so they're snug and so that the tops all line up. And you can experiment like we did before, or like I showed you before, without gluing it, but to have your flute all in one piece. And you will have to wait for this to dry a little bit if you're using glue. If you're using tape at home, you can experiment right away with it. Okay, and once you have all your pieces laid down, you can just put a couple drops of, put some glue, a dot of glue maybe on each one. You're gonna fold over your design, and this is gonna be kind of an easy way to hold your flute. Okay. So mine will still have to dry a little bit, but this is what your flute can look like. And we're gonna let this dry. I'm gonna actually experiment with this one. I just used tape for this one to tape all the pieces down. So go ahead and test out your flute. And think about how they sound. Do they sound, which side sounds higher? Which one sounds lower to you? So this is my longest straw, and this is my shortest straw. You can also experiment with how you hold it, how you blow through it, and there's actually science that goes into the noise or the sound that you're creating. So the long straw, the sound, the vibrations have to go a long way compared to this really short one, so they don't have to go quite as far. So this one sounds a lot higher than this one, so the pitch is a little bit different. So have fun playing and experimenting with your pan flute and see what kind of melodies you can create with yours. So how does pitch work? Every sound has a range from high to low, and that pitch, that sound depends upon the frequency of the vibrations. And the more vibrations per second, the higher the frequency, and the fewer vibrations per second, the lower the frequency. And waves are just used to communicate over long distances, and they create that sound. So this is our laser harp. The sound is created through a laser beam. A sensor detects that I am intersecting that beam, and it's creating that music, that sound. I hope you enjoyed learning about the scientific principles and the basics of art making and understanding the science behind color theory, light, optics and perception, movement, and sound. I've really enjoyed visiting you, and I hope you had enjoyed the activities that you participated in and learning and seeing some of the gallery space here at the museum. Our hope is that you get to come experience in person our awesome gallery spaces. So we hope to see you very soon here at the museum.